All right, let's continue with the big story of the day, which is the exposure of CNN, or I guess the continued exposure of CNN. You just heard me hopefully talk with Laura Loomer, who was very much involved with Project Veritas before moving over to Rebel Media just a few weeks ago, and it sounds like she's still very involved with Project Veritas. But I'll bring on an old friend, and we're just going to try to interpret it, because with this news, it's hard to just really, even just understand what it all means, what its implications are. And Bob Guzzardi is good at that, and he joins me right now. Bob, what do you think?
I think that I am echoing Rush Limbaugh.
Which I didn't hear yet. Okay.
Well, he said yesterday and again today, and Victor David Hanson echoed him as well. So I feel I'm in good company in echoing Rush Limbaugh, who said it appears the momentum is shifting. And I think that's what's happening. You had yesterday the story of CNN and the 3 editors who had to resign because they sourced a phony story about an individual, a private American citizen, which was sourced by one anonymous source and which turns out to be false. That they did not, that these 3 editors, these 3 reporters and their editors and the whole vetting mechanism at CNN failed, and this phony libelous slander, I'm not sure when it's on TV, whether it's libel or slander, it's a spoken word, but it's published, but libel, slander, defamation of the president was wrong, false, and was sourced anonymously by somebody who did not know what he or she was talking about, and or had an agenda, which is what I suspect. But I think that and then what you had is following right on top of that is this Project Veritas.
Yeah,
and CNN is spinning like a top, saying, well, we appreciate diversity of opinion. Mr. Butterfield is the medical, but
you can't make this stuff up. It's like the onion.
That's what they're saying. And in the Project Veritas video, Bonifield says, well, I was told by Jeff Zucker, the CEO, personally in a meeting. I'm going to say personally in a meeting. He was at least as high enough to get a meeting with the president of CNN. So he's in a meeting with the CNN president, Jeff Zucker, who says, well, you spent 2 days on this global warming thing in Paris that Trump vetoed, and now get back to the Trump-Russia story, because that's where the ratings are, meaning that's where the profit is. They are selling a story, a narrative, a false narrative, based on a false, evidence-free narrative. It's pure fiction. Pure fiction. I mean, I don't know how they dare do it, but they're doing it, and it's for profit. They're defaming the President of the United States, trying to delegitimize the President of the United States for profit.
Ideology too. Ideology too.
Well, they have an ideology. They have an agenda. We know that. They're partisan. They're political. We all know that. But in this case, he admits that there's a profit motive as well. It's not there's a certain purity. If they say, we got to get Donald Trump because he is a real danger to the country, which is what they say, and I believe think. So if they think that, well, okay, they've got to expose him. Unfortunately, they've chosen to expose him with something that he is not guilty of. And number 2, they have admitted now that it is for profit. Jeff Zucker tells this producer Bonifield, this is where the ratings are. Ratings means money. Higher ratings means more advertising revenue. Donald Trump is driving the revenues for CNN. Now, here is the big question. Do we go to – there's another issue. Rush Limbaugh played some a montage of clips of Jim Acosta melting down. Acosta yesterday was at the press briefing, and for reasons I don't know, it was not televised. Normally it's televised, but it was not televised.
Right.
And he was harassing is the only, I think that's an accurate characterization. If you listen to the Rush Limbaugh, he was not asking a question, well, why don't we have the TV on? He was yelling, he was overwriting. Sean Spicer was trying to recognize somebody else, and he was overriding Spicer and basically heckling, harassing him. I thought, why don't we have the TVs on? And Sean Spicer says the TVs are not going on. I don't know why they didn't have them on. They played the video, the audio of the press conference. I'm assuming because a lot of these reporters are grandstanding and like to have their picture taken, but I don't know. In any event, this is not the first time that CNN has harassed Sean Spicer.
Yeah, and the chutzpah involved in that. I mean, when CNN's, they're lucky to have their credentials still at this point.
In fact, Acosta even harassed the president.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was pre-inauguration. He was going after, and Trump said, well, be polite. You're interrupting. Stop. No more questions. And he won't talk to him. Now, the question is, and Project Veritas just sent out an email, I got it about a half hour ago, saying that we should ask the president to bar CNN from the daily press conferences, which I think is a good idea.
About time.
Yeah, I mean, let them listen to the video, and everybody else has. I mean, look, you have ABC, CBS, NBC. They're all not exactly in the tank for Trump. I mean, you want to say Fox is in the tank, which is obviously untrue since they got rid of Roger Ailes. And when I say they, the Murdochs got rid of Roger Ailes, and it's definitely tilting more liberal, but it's still, it does have two perspectives as opposed to CNN, which is relentlessly negative. There is not one positive thing. And I do not exaggerate, because whenever I watch it, I don't watch it too often, but I go to the gym sometimes, and you can read the chyrons, and it's all negative. All negative. Not one good thing. There are very few people in the world that you can't say one good thing for. And but they can't say one good thing for Donald Trump, not one. They don't recognize anything. And, of course, you know, then Russia was terrific today. I got more news from Rush Limbaugh in 3 hours than I do from a week of, the broadcast networks. And
I hope you're not
CNN.
spending a week watching the broadcast networks, because that would be
No.
torture.
I mean, every once in a while I turn it on. I know what ABC is going to be talking about tonight. They're going to be talking about Trump, Russia. You know, they interviewed this one, they interviewed that one. This apparently they're interviewing in depth, intensively. This one minor tangential player, I forget his name right now. He was a venture capitalist guy who was in Russia trying to drum up some business, and was a Trumpist or wanted to be on Trump's team, whatever. But he was peripheral to the whole campaign. He was not in any way an insider. His name's been out there a number of times, and nobody's actually accused him of anything. But now he's been interviewed, and I'm sure they're going to find out nothing there.
Nothing burger. Bob, I want to point out one tweet, which was already 14 hours ago, that I thought was really good, and it's ironic who it's from, because while CNN is the most trusted source in news or whatever, there was a lot of controversy to the Gateway pundit having Lucian Wintrich there, getting White House credentials. And this tweet just happens to be from him, and I think he sums it up well. James O'Keefe's Project Veritas video, and this sums it all up, is most damning for the MSM. First time they've admitted on film what we've all known. Incredible. That pretty much sums it up, in my opinion.
Correct. The smoking gun. James O'Keefe has gotten the smoking gun. We all knew this. The circumstantial evidence was overwhelming, but there was no smoking gun until now. Exactly. James O'Keefe got the smoking gun, and Gateway Pundit is exactly right. And Donald Trump and Donald Jr. Now, Donald Jr. is on the case, too. They are livid. And I mean...
Remind people what Donald Jr. did. I mean, obviously Donald Sr., otherwise known as the president, talked about this, but remind me what Donald Jr. did about this?
Donald Jr. just sent out some tweets, a bunch of tweets that, let me see if I can find them here. There's a whole, there was a, let me see here.
Oh, in the meantime, let me tell you,
but there was I think, it may have been Media Matters. I forget which one of it, but there was a whole string of Donald Jr. tweets that CNN fake news, that nobody has gone so far as to say that, except for Rush Limbaugh, whose audience, by the way, is probably bigger than yours. It's 27 million. 27 million a week. And he gets to 10 to 12 million every day. That means Rush Limbaugh's listening audience is greater than the three broadcast networks, CNN and Fox, together. All together. He does more. So when he puts out a story, and what was it? There was a guy that called today. It was interesting. The guy he was calling from Tuscany, Italy.
Oh.
And Rush was asked him what he did, and he was a salesman of super yachts, Italian super yachts to Americans. What did he say? I'm blanking on it this minute.
That's
but
all right.
if you go to Rush Limbaugh, you're gonna later today, which I listen. I mean, even if you don't listen to it, you can go on to and see.
You can listen to the podcast. Just like I want to point out, people can go on SoundCloud and listen to Backlash on Shark Nation Radio. But I do want to mention one thing. Another great tweet. This was by James O'Keefe. Just a picture of him with Andrew Breitbart, and he says, "This one's for you, Andrew." And I know you may not be prepared to talk about this, but this is really the spirit of Andrew Breitbart going on with this today. It's kind of funny to think about it that way.
Right.
You're
right. Breitbart's doing some great stuff out there. Maybe that's where I saw the Donald Trump Jr. tweets, but you'll see them out there.
Okay.
But I think the point of all of this, if you want to put it in a bigger picture, is I'm thinking that there's a momentum shift. Now, CNN still has its readership, its audiences. They tweeted that this last quarter was its best quarter ever, where they've been talking about Trump, Russia. So, telling a fairy tale apparently brings in a lot of people, but it's getting a little crazy. And and the rhetoric we're talking about the Trump care or the repeal and replace, whatever you want to call it. The Democrats are going to say that Republicans are killing millions of Americans. Millions of Americans. The Republicans are murderers. I mean, my God. I just got a call. Adam Taxin is out to kill me. Oh my God. I better kill him before he kills me. Don't you think? I can't wait. And I think they're putting this thing. And by the way, Rush Limbaugh, and tell you that, see, this is how you get news that you don't get anybody else. Do you know what the mortality rate in the United States is?
Yes, I hear it's 100%. Eventually.
100%.
I
We're
saw
all
that.
going to die, Adam. We're all going to die. Oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're all going to die, and the government can't say. The government's doing nothing. Nothing. We're all going to die.
Except apparently John McCain's mom, who is 105 now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good for her. Good for her. And John is on his way to matching that record, unfortunately. But it's it was very interesting. And Rush was good. He had Phil Donahue, a montage of Phil Donahue, and of course
Phil Donahue.
Bill Donahue was on some show, and he was explaining why Donald Trump won. Well, do you know why it was? It's the white working class Christian racists that voted Donald Trump. No, he didn't quite use those words. He said white working class. By the way, there was another interesting statistic from yesterday at Rush, and he talked about there is actually a increase in mortality among white working class people over the past 8 years, or maybe it's even longer than that. But there's been a steady decline in the mortality rate among white working class people, and it's unusual because almost every other country, I think every other country, is actually seeing an increase in mortality except the United States.
Interesting.
And the demographic that is showing the decline in mortality is the white working class. The suicide rate is up. It's serious. And of course, the media, and Barack Obama was a master of the identity politics, where you had to vote. I mean, just awful, and split the country, despite all our hopes that he might actually heal the country.
Yeah,
but,
Bob, I only have about a minute and a half left with you. I just wondering if you could just sum up a little bit your thoughts on O'Keefe, Project Veritas, and what we've learned about CNN, or what we've confirmed about CNN.
What we have learned about CNN, we have seen the smoking gun. James O'Keefe provided the smoking gun that CNN is manufacturing ratings based on this Trump-Russia story, and it's out for its own profit. And number two, to re-echo Rush Limbaugh, I think we're seeing a shift. I think we're seeing a shift in momentum, and that the media is losing to Donald Trump. He has confronted them, and he has flummoxed them and discombobulated them and confounded them like no other before. Nobody else could do what Donald Trump has done. Nobody.
And I
think that is what his great contribution is at this point in time. Meanwhile, I should point out that he's rocking and rolling, getting things done. His band is back in effect. By the way, they're going to hear, the band, they lifted the stay. And it's a 90-day, the ban is a 90-day ban to just, see what's going on and seeing what's coming in. And they're going to rehear the matter in November. Oh, my goodness. That's like more than 90 days. So Donald's gotten everything he's wanted. He's winning like crazy. The stock market is at record levels. I mean, and CNN is obsessed about this Russia thing. And you go on to CNN, you don't get any news. I mean, honestly, go on there tonight, and I will tell you what they're talking about: Trump, Russia, Trump, this and that. And you're never going to find out anything about. There was a massive hack, by the way.
But Bob, I got to let you go because we're out of time. But it sounds like you, like me, are not tired of winning quite yet.
No, it's overwhelming.
Thanks for coming on today, Bob.